This is Battleline Podcast with Chris Tanto Peranto and Ian Scotto. It is an absolutely beautiful day here in New York as I'm recording this, but I'm not outside enjoying it. I'm able to look outside and admire, look out this window here since I'm not in like a studio with no windows or anything. But yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I'll probably be outside at some point. Hopefully it's beautiful where you are. Before we get into this episode with Izzy Presley, who I'm very excited to talk to for the first time, I got to tell you guys about Ned. If you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you've heard us talk about Ned. Many of you are even believers now and subscribers to Ned, and it's become a part of your daily regimen. For the rest of you, especially those who have been looking into trying CBD and are trying to figure out where do I get the best CBD? Because I know a lot of you are podcast listeners and there's like a million CBD companies out there. Ned is the best, not just because they work with us. It's because of the fact that their CBD is not some proprietary blend of a million different ingredients. You're just getting two things. You're getting full spectrum hemp extract and non-GMO organic MCT oil. That's it. So, I mean, if you really want to feel the effects of CBD and nothing else, this is the cleanest, purest CBD to go to, and that's why it's from their farm in Paonia, Colorado, and they're just a great company. They're very helpful if you have any questions about which dosage to take, and their other products are amazing as well, whether we're talking about their lip balm, their body butter, the Natural Cycles line, the newer Mellow Magnesium product, because it's been out for a couple of months now at this point. Yeah, you're going to love them, but CBD in particular, if you're having sleeping issues, if you're having any issues with post-traumatic stress or depression, and you want to get on something that's good for you and that's not habit forming, it's a game changer. And many of our listeners will tell you that. I mean, cannabinoids have a wide range of benefits, and they regulate nearly every biological system in the human body. So some of these, as I said, in addition to being a sleep aid and post-traumatic stress aid or anxiety, depression, they're also used as a rich source of antioxidants, a natural pain reliever, an anti-inflammatory, and then even on the more serious end of things, some have credited it in treating their epilepsy or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, or in the case of Chris, he also says his ulcerative colitis has been helped by using CBD. So check them out. Check out all of their great products. And if you want to try any of them for yourself, we have a special offer code for the Battleline audience. Go to helloned.com/Battleline, or you could just enter Battleline at checkout, and you're going to get 15% off your first one-time order or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. That's helloned.com/Battleline. And you're going to get 15% off your first one-time order or 20% off your first subscription order, plus free shipping. We can't speak more highly of them. Check them out. Thank you, Ned. And with that, let's get right into everything.
From Omaha, Nebraska to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tanto Peranto.
Twitch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battleline Podcast.
The switch is on. Battleline Podcast. I am Ian Scotto. Chris Peranto is out this episode. He's actually in Naples, Florida, which I feel like is it's his second home at this point. He's like constantly there. Every time he's out, he's been out a few other places because he's got the speaking engagements and everything. But I think with Florida completely opened up and just his relationships there and the tactical industry, yeah, he's often there. So he's in Naples, Florida for a speaking engagement. And I would say I'm jealous, but you know what? The weather here in New York, as I said, is really nice. I haven't really spoke about it on the podcast, but I'll most likely be moving to Connecticut some point during the summer. I know if you've been listening, I mean, I was checking out apartments in Arizona at one point and then South Florida. And I don't know, man, I love them, especially South Florida. But I just came to the conclusion that I don't want to be that far away from my friends, family, and all that stuff. And I probably would have moved by now. The apartment I was in Port Washington here on Long Island was sold pretty much right around the time of the start of the pandemic. And so I've been searching for where to go, but also with what I do, any of you guys who are business owners know it's like not always the most stable thing. You know, my source of income is this podcast, and then, you know, even more so all the podcasts I do for narrative.fm. But we just added something new to the lineup there at Narrative FM, which is the Daily Brief that you can check out. And that's from our friends at 1440 News. And I host that. It's every morning, every weekday morning. And we just give a rundown of the biggest stories of the day, like no opinion, no take on them. It's just to give you an idea of what's going on in the world and start your day. So yeah, they're not 1440 News is not a sponsor of this show, but check them out because I like what they do. It's just try1440.com, and the podcast is the Daily Brief. So now with like just being more busy, things are getting a little bit more stable, even though in media it's never like completely stable. So I will most likely be moving somewhere in Connecticut. And then once that happens, that's when we'll be able to think about adding the video element. You know, I know for those who don't know, we put the show up on YouTube. We don't get a whole lot of hits there or anything. The majority of you guys listen really on Apple Podcasts and, you know, some people on Spotify and that type of thing. But I just put it on there to maintain a presence. And then also that way, once we have a video element, we could put it up on there and we already have a subscriber base, you know, which is small, but it'll get bigger once we put videos up on there. And I just don't want to put videos until, like, you know, Chris does it in a bedroom. I do it in a bedroom because Chris is going to be moving. I'm going to be moving. And then once we do, I could make my room look presentable for what we do. And I don't know. With the audio quality of this podcast, I would hope you guys think as well that, like, the audio is up to par with any other podcast. And I don't want the video to just be us on a webcam and nothing that interesting. I'd like it to look really cool. And that's why I haven't even talked to him about it. But once we get to that point, I'd like to bring on Truth Seeker, who we've had on the podcast, because if you check out the video element to his show, it's like really top notch. And when I got into the radio industry, which is pre-podcasts, like no one was streaming anything. So I never really learned video. I know the basics. I would know how to put something up here that looks okay, I guess. But I'd rather have someone who really knows what they're doing put something up that just looks kick-ass. And so that's why I'm waiting it out. And probably, yeah, late this summer, I would think, or early in the fall, we'll have a video element for those who are waiting for that. But if you're listening, you know, you're still listening anyway. But we'll probably reach some people who just don't listen, and we'll check it out once there's video. Anyway, some big news I wanted to get to. You know, I felt that news that basically got, you know, hidden from or buried in the headlines type of thing was the death of Houston Tumlin. I personally didn't know the name, but then when I realized, oh, he played Walker in the Talladega Nights movie, because remember, Will Ferrell's sons were Walker and Texas Ranger. But it's really unfortunate in that 28-year-old died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And the reason I bring this up, you know, I'm not just bringing it up for that. A lot of the headlines just had him as Walker from the movie Talladega Nights. Daily Mail actually did a little bit more in-depth of a piece on him, surprisingly, because I always feel like Daily Mail, quite honestly, is like the worst source of news, just tabloids galore type of thing. But it was from their article that I learned and saw the pictures that Houston was actually Army Airborne. So he was a veteran, and it's really unfortunate when you hear this news and you see it. And I'm not going to say, oh, this hit me harder than anything, because I didn't, like most of you, I didn't see anything starring this guy or with him since Talladega Nights, which was so long ago. It actually made me feel old to see that he's a 28-year-old now and has served the country. But you look at the pictures they put up, and he looks like he's very happy and very accomplished between his acting and his service to the country. And then you think, man, I can't believe someone would do this to themselves. And it just brings back that you got to reach out to your friends, reach out to family if you're going through hard times, because I think everybody thinks that they're all alone or that this feeling is going to last forever. And these are very temporary feelings, and you got to ride that wave out. And I didn't personally know this guy, obviously, but I think if he would have not made such a crazy decision in the heat of the moment, we probably would have heard of him doing some more amazing things. And I think it's just this feeling that we all go through during dark times of, how am I ever going to get out of this? Like, I know at the height of when I was going through depression personally, nothing seemed enjoyable. I remember I went to actually a Slaughter concert because Mark always invites me out to those concerts ever since we formed a friendship. And Mark Slaughter is what you hear at the end of the show. And I always have a great time, but I remember going to one of his shows, one of the Slaughter shows, great show as always. And I remember feeling like, man, maybe I don't enjoy this anymore. Maybe I don't enjoy going to concerts. And I remember like I wasn't even enjoying going to the gym. I wasn't enjoying going for a run. And it just feels like there's nothing, you lose that passion for life in all aspects, I think, when you're in that feeling. And it affects your brain chemistry. People don't even say it, but it affects your sex drive, your testosterone, and yeah, you could be in that really dark place, but you just gotta talk it through. Talk through with a professional if you can. Talk it through with friends or family, and just stay the course, because things will get better. And that's really all I can say in relation to that. Rest in peace to Houston Tumlin, and I'm sure his family is absolutely crushed to have someone of that age gone that soon. Now, as for today's guest, you'll hear Izzy Presley is a name that I've heard throughout like the podcast and rock realm for many years now at this point, and I follow him and stuff, but I never got a chance to actually talk to him, so I figured I'd invite him on, and it actually correlates with that his podcast just recently got picked up by Metal Edge magazine, and it's cool to see that they're on board with what he's doing, because he does a great job with his show, which we'll talk about. We're going to get right over to him, but before I do, I wanted to tell you guys about Hero Soap. You heard me talk about them on the last episode, and they've sponsored shows with us for a very long time. We love what they do. No chemicals, dyes, or fragrances. No parabens that are found in common soaps that are linked to breast cancer and reproductive complications in men. Very important. They just launched a new organic fragrance-free pet wash. All right, and I know some of you might not really think of pet wash when you think of Hero Soap Company, but this is not just any pet wash. This is the most badass pet wash on the planet. And then they also have their new scents of body wash, lavender, the pines, the meadow, lime, the Arctic, and that's newer for them. When they first came on board with us, they weren't doing the body wash, which they are now. They all include natural ingredients that your skin craves to stay hydrated, like olive oil, essential oils, and aloe vera. Veteran-owned by Luke. Luke is very passionate about veterans issues and veteran charities, and that's why they donate to all different veteran charities, including Chris Peranto's founded 14th Hour Foundation. And then if you do their subscription, they will match the amount of soap that you buy and send it over to guys deployed at a location overseas. And that really helps those guys. So the subscription for you is shipped straight to your door every month. So there's no worry of running out. Dudes always run out of their products before buying new or more. But there's no contract on that, and you can cancel at any time. And if you're just trying them for the first time and you just want to buy a few of the soaps, which you're going to love, I love the charcoal. I love the peppermint plus cool. That's a great one. The spearmint. That, like, it's funny. Chris always says that they last longer, but they end up lasting me shorter for the fact that I just end up like smelling these constantly while using them, and I just love the scents. They're great. So yeah, you could do those if you don't do the subscription. You can just try them out for the first time. But they are big bars of soap, and they're great quality. They're not going to dry you out, unlike other soaps. So check them out. Let Freedom Clean. HeroSoapCompany.com. And use the offer code Battleline for 15% off your order. And if you do the subscription, you can combine that with 10% off on your subscription. That's just for the actual hard soap, not for the body wash or pet wash, but you'll get the 15% off with that. It's just not subscription. So any products, use offer code Battleline at HeroSoapCompany.com. Huge thanks to them for what they do. And of course, you hear me talk about them every episode. Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammunition that is designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue. It leaves devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results with each pull of the trigger. Fort Scott Munitions is available throughout privately owned businesses in all 50 states, but on their website, they just can't keep up right now because stock is so low. So go to their store locator on FortScottMunitions.com and find where they're selling Fort Scott Munition near you. But you could still use our promo code at FortScottMunitions.com and check out any of their gear or merch, hats. They have all different types of cool stuff. So use the exclusive promo code Battleline for 15% off your order at FortScottMunitions.com. That's FortScottMunitions.com. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Paranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. With all that, very excited to bring on Izzy Presley.
Oh, holy fuck. Hi.
What's going on?
Oh, man, I had a late night last night. Oof.
I have to hear it. I already hit record, so we can get right into it if you want.
I'm good friends. One of my best friends is Mike Dawson from Adam Carolla, right? And there was a show last night in California.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, you're in LA.
Yeah, there was a show, and it was called I can't remember what the fuck it was called, but Carolla headlined, and Adam Ray was the
so this was a comedy show.
It was a comedy show. Adam Ray and Mike Dawson from Carolla opened up, and they had a band, which was Chris Loxamata from the Carolla show. And so they opened the whole thing up. It was like $100 to get in. I'm part of Dawson's crew. Whatever. he's one of my best friends. So he's like, dude, you're coming. That's all there is to it. So, we went, supported Dawson, got to see live music, got to see live comedy. And then we went back to Dawson's place. And
I assume this was outdoors if it was LA?
Yeah, it was outdoors.
They make this? Okay.
Yeah, it was outdoors. It was like a secret. It was just this thing. It was awesome. It was fucking awesome. Not seeing live music or live comedy for a year and seeing that was like seeing fucking Van Halen in 1984. It was just, holy shit, this is amazing. So we went back to Dawson's and hung, just doing our thing. And that link that I sent you, we ended up listening to fucking Charlie Roth. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, sure.
We ended up listening to Charlie Roth. And if any of your listeners, if you've never heard Charlie Roth, you probably haven't. He's a singer-songwriter out of central Minnesota. We listened to Charlie for at least 3 hours. And exposing Dawson, because Dawson's got a band called the Smoke and Kills, and it's singer songwriter stuff, but with a rock bass to it and a country bass to it. It's so good. And watching Dawson just freak after every song, during every song, it was heartwarming, because I've known Charlie for years, right? And we must have listened to Charlie for 3 hours, and I think I got home at 5.
That's crazy. So, I mean, it is good that we're not doing this too early then. I mean, for the audience, I should give a formal introduction, of course. Izzy Presley,
hi, everybody.
Podcast host, musician. And, the first thing I wanted to start with is actually, I've never spoken to you before, as I said in the intro prior to bringing you on, but you're a name that has constantly been brought up in my life somehow. So I think the first time I ever heard the name Izzy Presley, you and I are both like avid podcast listeners, was listening to Three Sides of the Coin, and then realizing you executive produced that show.
No. I do not. I'm just on every once in a while.
Okay, but I hear your name at the end for like advertising or something.
It was I was doing PR for them for a little bit.
Got you. Okay.
But I love those guys.
Yeah, no, they're great. So I heard your name on there. And then when I was doing Appetite for Distortion with Brando, we had Stevie Rochelle on, and he tells a story about going with you to the final Motley Crue concert. And then more recently, besides your own podcast, you and I are both avid Eddie Trunk listeners, which you're missing right now to be on with me, which I appreciate. And your name gets brought up on there. And so at a certain point, I was like, I got to talk to this guy once and for all, because just the name crosses my path somehow many times.
Oh, I'm glad. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate the invite.
Well, I mean, I love the show, which is another effing podcast, which is a great name for a podcast.
Thank you.
But now I actually you said we could get into it. I saw that Metal Edge is now presenting the podcast, the legendary Metal magazine.
Yeah. So what happened with that is I became friends with Paul Gargano, who owns the name Metal Edge. And he was with Metal Edge from like 96, I want to say, till the end of it. I'm going to put these back on so you can't see my eyes. Oof.
But and actually, when you say 96, I mean, he took over for Jerry Miller, who just left us, right?
Yes, he did. So he was basically, I mean, he started out writing for him, and then he ended up doing more and more and more. And then I think when it ended in 2009, I think he's the one that bought the name. I don't know I do know the whole story, but I can't think of it right now because, one, it's not my story to tell. And two, I just woke up and I'm extremely hungover. But so I became friends with Paul through Eddie and through a bunch of mutual friends here in Los Angeles. And he just kept coming on, especially because we started doing these. Well, I've always been doing the Drunken Summits, but once COVID hit, and nobody could leave the house, it's like, all right, well, let's start doing Drunken Summits. And, just doing it via Zoom and getting as many people as we can on there. And it just turned into this thing where we started debating records. And
which I love. I mean, it's so for the audience, you'll purposely match an album that is the same number of tracks and going track by track, which is the better album. So, you recently did, I think it was Hysteria from Def Leppard versus Bon Jovi, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And like, that was a super cool one, man. And it was cool hearing these guys from different bands, their take on like what song was better,
Yeah, absolutely. And let me put these on so you don't have any echo back sometimes.
No, I actually haven't. Everything's sounding good.
Right.
I love Squadcast. You'll hear once, and they're not a sponsor or anything, but you'll hear once I put this up, it takes the audio from your mic, you know what I mean, and the audio from my mic, and it'll probably sound like we're in the same room.
Oh, nice. Fucking love it. So and Paul just kept coming on, and I've been bugging Paul for a long time about doing a Metal Edge podcast. I'm like, dude, I mean, there was different ideas that got thrown around, and Paul is so busy because he manages bands. So he's always working on that stuff. He just doesn't have time to put an actual show together. And I just kept having him on, and it's like, I guess he goes, just throw the Metal Edge name on it, man. Let's just roll with this. And then once that happened, that's when the bigger names started coming on, because Izzy's Rolodex isn't exactly Paul Gargano's Rolodex. So, and bless him. Because,
dude, you know what I'm realizing is he managing David Silvera from Korn's band? Bias,
possibly,
because I just had Dave on the last episode, and I just realized I heard the name Paul Gargano a week ago.
Possibly, yeah. I'm
pretty sure if you guys listen back, that is a weird coincidence, because it just so happens that he brought him up a week ago with us.
Yeah, and it just that's just how it happened. He's like, just he might as well just use the Metal Edge name, and we haven't done an official press release, which we're going to. But when Jerry passed, Eddie Trunk was talking about Jerry, and he started talking about Metal Edge, and he's like, yeah, and they've rebranded with Izzy, and boom, there it is. It's like, all right, I guess it's real, and I'm honored. I am so honored just to know, for the fact that somebody that grew up reading Metal Edge magazine. I mean, I'm 48 years old. I mean, that was my wheelhouse when I was, in my teenage years. And the fact that I can put Metal Edge magazine, that logo, on my fucking podcast is, I still can't believe it,
I mean, it really, because what you do is very indicative of what the magazine was all about. And then you said Eddie Trunk bringing it up. Eddie Trunk really is the ambassador for this type of music. The fact that he even has a show on a platform as big as Sirius XM, without him, I feel like discussion of all of these great 80s bands dies without that, and without podcasts like yours.
Yeah.
Because we're also getting to the point, it's kind of scary that a lot of these bands, once touring is around, how many more years do they have in them? I just saw we're celebrating, I think it's Steven Tyler's 73rd birthday today. Am I correct on that?
I don't know.
How many more years could he tour, or a lot of these bands?
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I have this country thing that I'm working on, and my violin player plays with Paul Anka and Burt Bacharach, and both of them are a little bit longer in the tooth, if you know what I mean. And I saw her the other day, and I'm like, are they going to go back out? And she's like, yeah, there's dates on the books. So I don't know. I think a lot of these guys, it's just it's their life, and they're going to go till they can't go anymore. And if that means they're going to go till they die, they're going to go till they die. I mean, look what Lemmy did. I mean, Lemmy was dying. He was dying, and he still went out there and played. I mean, you could tell, but he didn't care. He's like, fucking rock and roll. It was his life. And you see it. You see it with a lot of older people that they've been doing something their whole life. And then once they quit, they die.
Yeah.
It happened with, if anybody's listening in Minnesota, the name, Sid Hartman. I covered sports in Minnesota, and, being in the same locker room in the same press box with Sid Hartman was unbelievable. He started in the 50s, I think. And he was in his late 80s, early 90s when I was covering sports, and he just passed away last year. Was it this year or last year? I think it was last year. And he was 100 years old. And he worked pretty much until the day he died. It's like he couldn't work because he broke his hip, and then he couldn't get out, and then he went. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Because you have a large part of that community, especially with the 80s stuff, that they're weekend warriors. They don't.
Yeah, some of them.
They have other jobs.
No, I'm just going to say, I could even mention, and I mentioned him in the intro, but the outro for us is actually done by Mark Slaughter. And Slaughter, it's known they play these casinos on the weekends. They're not on a tour bus. They get paid a good amount to fly out to Mohegan Sun or wherever, and the rest of the week they do their thing.
Exactly. I mean, fuck. I mean, look, you can do the thing. I mean, you can still make a living if you're one of those bands doing those weekend shows, flying up to Johnny's Bar in Sheboygan, and they're paying. Fuck it, man. Why not?
Yeah, and you think about some of these bands that were on their last run or last leg of a tour, supposedly too, and as you said, are they going to go out after quarantine? Because it's so weird how Ozzy was on his no more tours, but he's like, oh, that doesn't mean no more tours forever. And then Leonard Skinner was doing a final tour for 2 years now plus. And which it's hard to believe it was the real last tour when, I saw them like here on Long Island, they come around for 2 legs of that tour.
Yeah.
And then you start to realize they were playing Westbury Music Fair, which is a smaller capacity venue prior to this whole final tour, Airfinger's quote. And then they do the final tour and they're playing Jones Beach Amphitheater, which is a way bigger crowd for a bigger ticket price. And it's become a gimmick at this point. Motley Crue's going back out and Def Leppard,
Yeah, well, I mean, shit. I saw the Ozzy No More Tours tour in 1993.
Yeah. I would have been very young, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was Ozzy and it was Ozzy, Slaughter, and Ugly Kid Joe. And
that's a cool lineup.
Oh, it was great, man. It was fucking awesome. That's the only time I've ever seen Ozzy, and I'm glad I saw him when I did because he was still good. I mean, he was still on top of his game, and it was so good.
Yeah, and for a lot of bands too, it's not even. I think the music that you and I are into, a lot of the '80s. I know Eddie Trunk hates the term hair metal, but I don't. I like the term. I like the term.
It's a slam. It's a complete slam, and I'm one of those people that refuses to use it. It's because like Eddie always explains, it was a derogatory term used in the industry. Against these bands when grunge came out, and that's why I refused to use it. I know a lot of bands don't care, they embrace it, whatever. But as a fan and somebody that's quote in the like I'm actually in the industry, but I don't like it. I really don't like it. I get it. A lot of them use it as a gimmick now, which is fine, but I'm not a fan of it.
It's funny. If you listen to Eddie's rants on this, because he gets so passionate, you would think he was talking about the N-word and not the term hair metal. He's like, it's used to put people down. It's used to be derogatory. I'm like, this is a bit much for, but I always think, I actually don't think of it in that way. And it could be the younger thing, but it's for me, it's just the fact that it's very fun, celebratory music. And I feel like the bands themselves don't take themselves very seriously.
Right.
Even the music that's great. Like, I remember, I'm sure you've read The Dirt, but I kind of have the same attitude.
Bible?
What?
You mean the Bible?
I kind of the same attitude as Vince Neil in that book where, Motley Crue, when they separated from him, had that like interview that went awry on MTV where they said, oh, you think we're just like Hairspray Girls and Fire. And Vince Neil said, if I was on that interview, I would have said, yeah, I am all about Hairspray Girls and Fire. And it's a lot cooler than being about nothing at all and being boring. So I always think and what you were saying though, where you said, that you got to see Ozzy when it was still a great live show. For some of these bands, like my first show of that genre, and I had been going to shows years prior to that, was actually in 2003, I believe, was Vince Neil at the Downtown. And, Vince Neil blew up at, physically at that point by then. He was usually like a few beers deep, you could tell. I remember him dropping a mic stand on some girl in the audience. He was like shouting out, what song do you want to hear? And it was one of the most fun shows I've ever been to. Musically, it may not have been like the greatest performance of all time, but I remember seeing that show. I got it in a way that I never did before, that it's just like, this is a fun time. And even if you're not a fan of that genre, I feel like if people went to see like Vince Neil at a small packed bar by them, they would have a blast.
Oh no, look, that genre, that era, and the stuff that led up to creating that era, Van Halen, Kiss, Cooper, it was it was the show. It was about entertainment. Yes, about music too. But it was about entertainment, and you want to watch somebody looking at their shoes, talking about how bad their fucking life is? No, I don't want to. That's why I love 80s rock. That's why I don't like 90s rock. It's like 80s rock was about the party. It was about the sex. It was it was about the fucking drugs. You know, it was
Is that
about
CC DeVille?
no, Sebastian.
Oh, okay. They sound kind of
Dude. It was about the party. It was about an escape from real life. And then you get into the 90s where they're talking about how bad their life sucks. It's like, I know my life sucks. I want to have fun and get drunk and, you know, talk about chicks. I don't want to hear about fucking Jeremy getting picked on in class. Fuck you. Jesus Christ. Dude, tell me about the mountains of cocaine.
I love it, man. So with your show, Another Effing Podcast, what's it like now having these bands that you grew up with come on to talk about, in many cases, their own albums or other albums that you guys have like this camaraderie with? You know, like having, I know he's not an original member, of course, but hearing like Todd LaTorre talk about the Queensryche albums and all that, it's just it's a cool experience you've created.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been not like the album throwdowns, but fuck, I've been talking to these people ever since I got into this, you know, and not even in podcasting, you know, back in my radio days, and the writing days. That's when I really got exposed to it. And you know, me and Todd talked about it, and he was talking about. We were talking about the Monsters of Rock tour, 1988, Van Halen, Scorpions, Dokken, Metallica, Kingdom Come, and he goes, "Dude, it's weird. It's like I was a kid, and now I'm friends with all of them, except for the Van Halen guys. You know, and that's what it's like for me. I still pinch myself sometimes. It's like I cannot believe that, you know, little Tommy Elwell sitting in his fucking mom's in his basement in his mom's house with all these people on his walls."
So that's your real name?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a gimmick. I know.
Yeah, of course.
And the fact that, I mean, like, I can text Mark, I can text Kip, I can, like, Frank Hannon. I did a show and Frank Hannon was my fucking guitar player. You know, I did an Elvis show on the Moody Blues Cruise, and Frank Hannon was my fucking Scotty Moore. And I can't fathom it sometimes. Here's a good one. Here's a really good one. It was NAMM, and we were at the Rainbow. And my buddy Ace he was in Fast Pussycat, now he's LA Guns, Ace Von Johnson, and he's got a table at the Rainbow, and we're sitting at the table. It's him, Ricky Rackman, and myself. And I'm like, even though Ace wasn't an original member of Faster Pussycat, obviously, but I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm sitting here at a table, and Ace is one of my best friends in the world. He's like the little brother I never had. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, my God, I'm with a guy from Faster Pussycat. I'm with Ricky fucking Rackman, who's a friend too. And then Tiffany walks in, like Tiffany. I think we're alone now, Tiffany, who's a friend. And Izzy, and, you know, she like leans over the table and gives me a kiss on the cheek. I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? How did I get here? I can't, I know it sounds dumb to a lot of people, but it's mind blowing to me that, you know, some dork from St. Cloud, Minnesota gets to associate with these, you know, musicians that I grew up with. I'm so thankful to be able to do what I do. And, you know, like you said, you know, what's it like to have these guys coming on, you know, talk about the records they played on as we're debating the records, you know, like having David Ellefson when we debated Rough Peace versus Justice for All. And he's telling stories about, you know, recording it and, you know, like, and being friends with Metallica guys and like swap. This is so fucking cool. It is so cool. And I understand why, you know, everybody wants to do this now, you know, because it gives them a chance to, you know, talk to their heroes. You know, I mean, fuck, I was so nervous with Ace Frehley because it's Ace Frehley and I have an Ace Frehley tribute band. But I was more nervous with Johnette from Concrete Blonde. That's the most nervous I've ever been.
And they're not a band on the level of Kiss by any means.
No, not at all. But Johnette's Johnette. Johnette might be my favorite vocalist of all time. I mean, and I had been bugging her for 6-7 years. Actually, probably about 9 years. And it finally happened. And I was so nervous, and she was so cool. And that's what makes this even more cathartic. Is that a word? Yeah, that's a word. That when you get to, be on a level, looking at somebody that influenced your life as a kid, and talk to them like this, and they know who you are. It's cathartic. It really is, and I don't take any of this for granted. And I'm not making it sound like I'm somebody, because I'm not. I'm just some fucking schlub, who's lucky.
No, but you do a podcast that has gained an audience, everybody, and even, it's funny because yes, it's called Another Effing Podcast, and it's kind of a take on how everyone and their mother has a podcast now. Even though you were kind of doing it before, it was even half as big as podcasting now in 2021. Literally everyone has a podcast. Most of them probably shouldn't have a podcast, but you've gained an audience. You've gained a big audience who digs what you do.
Yeah, and I really appreciate it. I have some really hardcore fans, and I appreciate every single one of them. And just the fact that somebody takes time out of their day to listen to what I have to say, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not on a level of a lot of people, but I love being able to have a voice, and especially when I have something to say. But it's gone away from that, because I kind of did that for a little while, and I think the interviews are the best way to go.
Yeah, I know. I love doing interviews, and I love getting to know someone in a way that's outside of what we love them for, and kind of peeling back the curtain. And for a lot of people, I think because of social media and podcasting, you do get to know these people on a more intimate level than when they were just someone you saw on your TV or heard on your radio.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think there's good and bad to that. Todd LaTorre from Queensrÿche was talking about this last week. This week. It was this week. That's right. It's Friday. It's still this week. But he was talking about how he goes, I don't post that much on social media. I still want that level of, mystery, because that's what, I mean, if you remember, there was a level of mystery. It's like, yeah, you read the magazines and you saw the MTV shit, but you weren't able to interact with people. Now with social media, like you said, it's like kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit, and it's cool. And it's really, really cool to be able to, interact with people on social media. But I miss the mystery. I miss the, dude, what's it really like backstage? Dude, we get to go backstage. We get to go backstage, to a sold out show, and, go back and expect to see the naked chicks all over the place, and the drugs and the drinking and blah, blah, blah. And now it's not like that. It's not like that. It's just, all right, cool. There's catering. I remember I went up. I'm good friends with the guys from Firehouse, and I think I introed them at the Whiskey. And I went upstairs to the dressing room upstairs at the Whiskey, and I peeked my head in to say hi before the show. And it's like, it was just the four guys sitting there quiet. And I just peeked my head in, and I had the airplane moment, because it hit me as I opened the door, and there was like nothing. There was just like when you go up there before Fast Pussycat or LA Guns, it's a fucking party, right? And there's just those four guys getting ready, just sitting there. I just peeked my head in and go, just wanted to let you know that we're all counting on you, and good luck. And close the door, because that's the Leslie Nielsen line from Airplane, and he kept doing it over and over and over, even after the plane landed.
I mean, every band has their own style of how they're going to do things, and Some guys, I mean, I've seen it before, don't even interact with each other at all until they're up on stage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how some of the bands are able to survive. You know, they just show up, they play the show, and then get paid, and boom, see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, and a lot of times they don't even like each other off stage, and I know we'd like to believe that,
right?
Which sometimes it's hard to believe because you know what's so crazy is you always hear about how Eddie Van Halen and David Lee Roth always clashed, but when you watch a live show, these guys look like they're having the time of their life. It was almost hard for me to believe they didn't get along off stage.
There's something about the music and performing the music that. Yeah, they're getting paid a shit ton of money to do it, but dude, Van Halen music, how can you not have a good time? You know, I mean, I saw it got out when the David reunion tour happened in 2007. The tour.
I was at the National Coliseum show. Great time.
I saw it at Target Center in Minneapolis, and it was literally on the fucking rider. It said dressing room 1 cannot be within 50 feet of dressing room 2 or 3.
Wow. So you were backstage at that?
No.
Oh, okay. You heard about this?
No, somebody posted it online.
Okay, because I was like, that's a cool show to be backstage at.
No, God, I wish.
So that was prior to you living in LA, or you were just back home?
No, that was prior. I was schlub in Minneapolis.
So did you move to LA just as a nerd for this culture?
Yeah. Yes. I visited out here with my Norwegian girlfriend at the time in 2012. She flew in from Oslo, and I flew in, that was when I moved down here. But no, so December 2012, because that was August 2013. We spent a week together out here, and I'm sitting at the Rainbow one night in Lemmy's chair playing the machine. Like, yeah, I need to live here. And that was it. Because the Rainbow was like a calling to me. You belong here. And
but a lot of people would say that this is long after this era of what you romanticize has passed.
It doesn't matter. It's the Rainbow Bar and Grill is my Disneyland. The Rainbow Bar and Grill it's my Graceland, sir. That aura still lives there. You know, I mean, you can go in there and still see people from that era. You know, the bands, still come in there. And it's the rock and roll destination of the world. And that's the bottom line, I know that time is long gone, and it's nostalgia now, and it's memories and blah, 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 but it's not dead to us.
Yeah, I've actually wondered myself, because I haven't been to LA since I was a little kid, and there's been many and I don't regret it as much now because it wasn't really their final show, but I regretted not going to that Motley Crue final show, because I was like, this would have been a perfect time to go to LA. And also the fact that even Stevie Rochelle said it when I interviewed him, and you were at the show with him, tickets were going for way cheaper than people expected.
Oh, yeah.
Because they went on too long on that tour, I think, and the fact they did 3 dates, in a row for a stadium, they're not on the level of Guns N' Roses, as much as I love Motley Crue. But I haven't been there since I was a little kid, and I always say, like, I want to feel what it's like to be in a Guns N' Roses music video and see the Whiskey a Go-Go and see some shows at the Troubadour and go to the Rainbow. And other people have said to me, like, that's not what it is anymore. You're going to be thoroughly disappointed if you go there looking for that.
Yeah, dude, look, even before COVID, the music industry here is just, it's not what it was at all. You can go and, you go to the Whiskey on a Tuesday night. Yeah, we have these delusions of grandeur that it's going to be like it was in 1987. And it's not. It's not. You'll go in there and see some random band, and there's maybe 100 people in there, and it's just like, yeah, this isn't what it used to be. But times change, And the fact is that, live music, as much as we romanticize about it and love it, it's just not, on a club level, it's just not what it was anymore. Getting, especially in LA, it's like getting, 10 people to come out to see your band means 100 people said, yeah, man, I'll be there, after you invited 1,000 people. That's just how it is out here. It sucks. I wish it could be better, but it's not. It's like the things that are doing well is like, I host a night called Soundcheck Live. I'm the MC, and it's like an all-star jam thing. And yeah, we do well with that, but then you want to see like, your best friend's fucking band playing at the Troubadour or the fucking Viper Room or whatever. And maybe 100 people will show up if they're lucky. And that's with all the 5 bands that are there. It's frustrating as a musician and as a fan. But I
have seen that there are a few bands coming out of the LA scene. It's obviously not what it was, but even over this whole pandemic situation, I came across a band that's out of there called Fire Tiger. I don't know if you know them.
Yeah.
And they do some really kick-ass stuff. And I was like, cool. It's cool to see a band of guys probably in their 20s, doing it.
Yeah, the fact, rock music, everybody's like, oh, yeah, rock is dead, rock is dead. Rock is dead. Fuck you, Gene. I love you to death, but fuck you. It's not dead. It's never going to die. But rock's just not at a level as it once was. And that has to do with radio. That has to do with TV. That fucking, MTV doesn't play music. We all know that. We can bitch about that for hours, but it's never going to change. Like when I was growing up, and even while you were growing up, radio was still important. That's how you heard new bands. MTV is how you heard new bands. And now that, the internet, which I guess
the idiot.
Anything that you want is at your fingertips. And it's like, back to the podcasting thing, it's like anybody can have a podcast, but not everybody should have a podcast. And I'm not saying that as a dick. I mean, there's people that said I shouldn't have a podcast.
Of course.
In Montreal. And but it's the same thing with music. It's like, yeah, it's great. Anybody can record a record. But
does that guy really take shots? Because I know you're hinting at there. Just say the name.
No, I'm not.
Does he take shots at you or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to lay off that. But yeah, it's the same thing with music. It's like, yeah, it's great that anybody can record a record, but just like Eddie Trunk says, but it sucks because anybody can record a record. There's no gatekeeper anymore, which is it's needed. It really is. And because if you're not good enough, you're not getting past the gatekeeper. But now there is no gatekeeper. So having to go through 9 billion bands on the fucking internet to find one that you like, good luck.
It's cool though when you do. Like when I came across that Fire Tiger band, I was like, this is really cool. And I bought the album on iTunes because I still buy albums. I don't stream.
Nice. Buy physical.
I do when I can. It's hard. You know what it is too? You want the album immediately. I like when they have it on Amazon Auto Rip, where they'll send you the CD, the physical copy, but you could also download the MP3s immediately. That's the best for me.
But you know what, man? There is something to be said. So at Dawson's last night, I turned Dawson on to Richie Kotzen, and today,
which for those who don't know, some background, in Poison and other things.
Dude, Poison is such a small blip of what Richie is. When you try to explain who Richie Kotzen is, and if you lead it with, yeah, he was in Poison, people.
Well, you got to give the background then for the audience.
Richie Kotzen is a singer, songwriter, guitar god, right? And he was in Poison. He was being brought up as one of these like these protege kids in in the late 80s, and CC left, and apparently the story is that, he went in to try out and he didn't even know the fucking songs. And they're like, well, can you write? And he played them, maybe Fire and Ice or something like that. And they hired him on the spot because they needed somebody that could write songs. And Richie can write songs. Richie's an amazing fucking songwriter. And that's how he got the gig with Poison. But in 1991, or whenever that record came out, maybe it was 92, I think, maybe 93. I don't know. I drank a lot last night. Poison wasn't anymore. I think it was 92 because it was still there because I went to see them. I think it was them and Firehouse on that tour with that Richie, the Native Tongue tour. But then Richie was out of the band, and he went through the 90s, and we all know what happens to 80s rock artists in the 90s. And Richie, he had that stigma. Fuck, he was in Mr. Big for a little bit too, taking Paul Gilbert's place, and Paul wasn't in the band. But that is not Richie. Poison is not Richie. His music is nothing like that. And if you listen to that Native Tongue record, this doesn't sound like Poison. Yeah, it's because it's fucking Richie Kotzen with Poison doing his songs pretty much, and doing a great job at it. I mean, it's a lot to a lot of Poison fans. That Native Tongue record is like the Karabi record from Motley fans. It's that diamond in the rough. It is fucking gold. It just doesn't sound like everything else that they did. And Richie, for years, I mean, I think he was pretty big, like outside of the United States, but here, he couldn't get arrested, but he kept putting out music. And then he got hooked up, with the Winery Dogs, and they created that, and that and the Monsters Cruise really in the States projected him to what he's doing now, and God bless him. If you want to get a taste of Richie Kotzen, go to YouTube and look up Kotzen Live 2015 and pull up one of these next to you.
Which you're pulling out of Jack Daniels, for people don't say.
Oh,
because I'm the only one who sees. Because we just have audio. So.
Oh shit! Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Sit back and get ready to experience music that you didn't think you could have a connection with ever, and it will floor you. It will fucking floor you. Kotzen is. Oh, wow. What were we talking about before, Richie?
I don't know, but that was a pretty big endorsement of the guy.
Dude, yeah, and he's got I know what we were talking about. So last night, because we were talking about getting a record, right? And how
sorting through kind of all the crap.
Well, no, when you buy it, and then also you get
you
get the
physical
audio files before you get the physical product.
Yes.
And I ordered the new Kotzen Adrian Smith album that came out last night at 9:00 on iTunes. I ordered the album, the physical record, and I wanted to wait until that album showed up to listen to it for the first time, because there is something about, you put it on and just like, put it on your fucking iTunes and where's the Bluetooth speaker? That's all fine and dandy. But when here's a good example. I haven't opened it yet. This right here. Even though I did listen to this already, this is the Todd Latore album.
Cassette tape. Yeah.
This is the cassette. I have not bought a fucking new cassette for since probably 1990. This is the first brand new cassette that I've bought since 1990, and I love it. I'm excited. I can't wait to put it in, even though I've already listened to it because I had to listen to it, before the interview. But there is something to be said about never hearing an album and being excited about it and opening it and putting it on that fucking turntable and looking at it and reading the liner notes and taking it all in, as opposed to hitting play on your phone.
Yeah, no, music has become way more of a background thing. I mean, I even remember when I was younger, getting the CD, putting the Discman on, having the lights completely out in my room, and really like taking that album in. And now it's something that you have on while you're scrolling Instagram, while you're on Twitter, while you're texting your friends and getting alerted. I mean, I have a separate iPod that I just put on airplane mode because I don't want to be distracted by anything else when I'm listening to music. Yeah, it's become a background thing. And I even remember I saw an interview with Trent Reznor where he said something of that sort. He said something to the effect of, he was like, I don't really get Drake, and I heard him on in the Apple store, and I don't get what the big deal is. But then he started getting into, he was just like, yeah, people, it's not an event now. It's just like a background thing to listen to. And it's like this part of the culture like Instagram and TikTok, and it's not, it's not appointment listening. I can't wait to put this in anymore. It's just not what it is.
Look, we used to have midnight releases. We used to.
I remember I worked at Tower Records during that.
There you go, man. There was something about waiting in line to be the first person that to get that fucking record at midnight when it came out. I
remember someone going all the way to Tower Records for the midnight release of the Golden Girls DVD. You got to be pretty hardcore to be that excited for the Golden Girls.
To them. But I mean, shit. We used to wait in line for like overnight for concert tickets. That it was. So, and I know I sound like old man Presley right now, but it's like
I do too, though, and I'm a 34-year-old man.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like there was an event about it, and that event is gone. Now it's disposable. It's for years, and thank God they're making a comeback, much like cassettes and albums did. But like CDs, there was for so long that a CD was a fucking business card. It didn't mean shit. Here, have my CD. Okay. I mean, I got stacks of them that I've never listened to, and it's like, what? Now it's coming back a little bit, and hopefully that stigma of, here's my CD will actually mean something again. How to put the event back in music. That is the fucking ticket right there. That is the $1 million, the $1 billion idea. But you got to come up with the idea, because I don't know how to make that event anymore. Nobody does. They haven't figured it out. Nobody's figured it out.
Yeah, and I think also people just I do understand that people like less of the clutter now. I mean, because I actually said on the intro, I'm probably moving from New York to Connecticut in the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm at my parents' temporarily, and I still have like literally thousands of CDs in racks, and it's like, I can't transport all this right now. This is staying here.
Yeah,
for a while.
you can.
So I understand the I guess you can, but it's a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the simplicity of having it all on your computer,
but it's not the same. It's not the same.
I agree.
It's not the same.
I like to look at the liner notes. I like to look at who produced what, who wrote
what.
what.
Scroll through your fucking computer to find. Fuck that, dude. Look at the rack. Oh yeah. Ooh, there's just something about it. It's like when I'm going through my records when I'm getting hammered some night. It's like, what do I want next? Oh yeah, here we go. And it's just there's just a feeling about it, and there's a connection with it, that's the other $1 billion idea is like, how do you create that connection again? And it's through the event, but how do you make the event of the music? Then thankfully vinyl made a comeback, and cassettes and CDs are making a comeback. So maybe that will ease the pain a little bit, especially for us old fuckers.
Well, one thing is people will be very excited to get back to live concerts, I think.
Yeah.
And once that comes along, people will really appreciate the moment, hopefully. Because I'm not a fan of going to a show and it's someone holding up their phone for 2 hours, which is a lot of what you see. I love to just live in the moment and enjoy that time. And I'm a hypocrite because I do have quite a few pictures of me very close at Aerosmith, which I put one up today, but I needed to capture that in some way, but I would never have my phone up for 2 hours of a show. It's just
I remember when I was at 101 in St. Cloud, Minnesota, we have this show called Halfway Jam. It was a summer festival right outside of St. Cloud. And Tesla was there, and I was literally behind a gal that had her iPad up the whole time. I mean, literally, she held it up like this the whole time filming the show. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
But if she put it on YouTube, then that, it's because there's some shows I love to relive, and I go on YouTube and I'm like, this is Winger at Mohegan Sun. I was there.
Yeah, but fuck, it's like, dude, just take it in. Enjoy it. I agree. That's why you're there. If you're just gonna do that, why come to the show? Watch it on fucking YouTube.
Yeah, I agree. I think people don't live in the moment very much anymore, and that's a product of social media and all of that. You know what I'm wondering is what do you think music is going to be like in LA when things come back? Because you guys have had a lockdown for that long, and I know around here on Long Island, like there's a club called Revolution, smaller capacity venue, that I've seen like Orgy play at, and like Amira, who we've had on the podcast, plays there. So that type of tier of band. Like I remember Dangerous Toys at a show there. I wasn't there, but that type of tier of band, if they have a show, that's where they're going to play. Yeah. You know what? It might have been like Pretty Boy Floyd. It might not have been Dangerous Toys, but I'm saying that level, that's the venue they play, and it's gone. They couldn't survive being shut down for this long. So in LA, are we going to see legendary venues like Whiskey A Go Go and I'm thinking of all the other, Troubadour, are any of those going
Troubadour,
away?
I know is struggling. Viper and the Rainbow, Whiskey and the Rainbow are owned by the same people, and I believe they are both now historical places, so they can't go away pretty much. They're protected by that. But I mean, nobody wants to see it happen, but I mean, fuck, I haven't heard much about the Troubadour lately. So maybe they're doing all right now. And Viper Room, it's been well documented that Viper Room is going away, because that block got bought and everything on that fucking block is going away, and they're building a fucking hotel, that nobody can afford to stay in. And I guess they're going to put the Viper back inside of the hotel, but good luck. Now it's going to be $14 beers instead of $9 beers. Viper will go, but it'll be back. So, but yeah, it's like, that it happens not COVID. Classic clubs that you grew up loving sometimes just eventually go away. It sucks.
Yeah, but they're leaving at a faster rate. It was happening a lot in New York, but this is all kind of happening at once. The only solution I've heard, outside of the government getting involved, that Eddie Trunks actually said that I think made perfect sense. I heard him say on his show, and hopefully it could happen. And I mentioned it on the show with Jaden Panesso from Siler. He was saying like the Metallicas, the Slipknots, the Aerosmiths of the world, they got to play these small venues at $200 for the cheapest seat in the house, or I think he's like $2,000 for like the cheapest seat in the house. I totally understand that. It would probably sell out, and give that money to keep the venue going. I mean, a lot of people would love to see Metallica play the Troubadour. So, you said they'll still be around, but or you're saying Troubadour is in trouble.
Troubadour, last I heard, I haven't heard anything about it for a while, but they were doing like a GoFundMe thing.
So the point being, once LA opens up, if you have a Metallica or a Slipknot or whoever, Bon Jovi at the Troubadour, it would sell out. It would be huge.
Oh, absolutely.
And give that money to keep that venue going. I thought it was a good solution if there's a way to make that happen. And that was Eddie Trunk. So
that's a great one. That's a great idea. Will it happen? Probably not. But it'd be cool to see.
But you know what? He's been I think very realistic about the reopening stuff, and things are moving along quicker in some ways than I expected at this point. The fact that like I see there's a bunch of venues that have shows listed for like September. Like Jeff Tate is going to play the Chance in Paramount in September, and a few months ago I would have said that's not happening. But you're seeing all these states reopening, and I'm like, I think it could happen. I think like Connecticut will open quicker than New York as they currently are doing. You guys are going to be the very last to open up anything. But I do believe you're going to see club shows in September, and eventually things are going to follow. I mean, you have to at some point, regardless of the risks out there. we just can't stay like this as a country.
No, absolutely not. And I think the thing with California is they just out here, they just hit you with the doom and gloom and doom and gloom and doom and gloom. But there's a lot of people out here that are scared shitless still, you know?
Same here. Yeah.
You know, I mean, fuck, it's like the other day I'm driving and there was a couple in a convertible, the top down with their masks on. I'm like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Hey, what? You're outside. You're in a convertible. I have a better chance of winning the lottery building a time machine out of a Prius. Why the fuck would I do that? Oh, gross. Going back to 1990, having a three-way with Elle McPherson and Cindy Crawford, coming back to this era, meeting my bastard child that I had with one of them from said three-way, and starting a band with him and getting a fucking platinum record than you do driving in your convertible and catching COVID. It's just, oh.
It's perfect. I love it.
Look, people want to be safe. I get it. I understand it, but there's a point.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, some people they've been so affected by the news and by the negativity out there. That's actually a pretty funny note to possibly end it on. So I mean, I definitely want to promote out your podcast. Everybody check out now Metal Edge Magazine's Another Effing Podcast at Real Izzy Presley on everything. And if you're a fan of that whole era, you guys will love the show. The last thing on my end, actually, unless there's anything else you want to promote, is this is a little bit different of a show for us because it's usually me and Chris Peranto. Yeah. We have a lot of military contractors, former CIA guys, and when I'm here and Chris is not, I'll switch it up and do something that's completely outside of the realm of my interest.
Little fingers, motherfucker. This is how we're doing it.
Yeah, but what we do is usually more on the inspirational side, but I would say what you have to offer that's inspirational is the fact that you really, people listening could tell, have a serious passion for something in your life. And I think a lot of people are missing that. And I think without that passion in life becomes very dull, especially during this time. So, I mean, do you have any words of advice for people who don't maybe have that passion in their life and they're just kind of just trugging along and live
your life, have fun, and don't be a douche. That's my motto. Live your life, have fun, don't be a douche.
I love it.
The key thing with that is have fun. Have fun. Try to smile. Try connect. Like I said, like we were talking about connecting with music. Do it with physical product. Take it all in, and it takes you to another world. It really does. That's what good music does, and that's why music will always be here. God, I sound like a douche.
No, not at all.
Music, it will always be here.
It's important to keep alive, man. And if I'm ever out in LA, I definitely hope to meet up with you. And it's not outside the realm of possibility. There's so many people I know in LA. But right now is not exactly the best time to be there. So I'll probably wait it out a few more months or maybe a year.
Getting there. I mean, some places you can eat inside again. Some places they're able to and they don't. I'm like, what the you've been waiting for a year to get people inside your restaurant and you're still doing fucking takeout only?
There's a lot of sushi places around here that are like that. So
yeah, I don't understand it. It's like, dude.
Some of them, I'll be honest, I understand it on that level because, like, there's a sushi place by me that I love. It's amazing, Yamaguchi. But the staff there is all very old. Like the woman who owns it is like elderly, and she's there every night, every time I come for pickup. Yeah. So I understand on that level.
And
high risk.
Going back to what we were talking about, when she quits, she's not going to live very long because that's her life.
Yeah,
But like as far as if you love this music that we're talking about, check out monstersofrockcruise.com. Get on the boat with us. It is the fucking vacation of a lifetime.
When is that coming back?
It'll be back next year. We were supposed to be on an island this year because of the cruise lines. So they had it worked out. We were going to be on an island in the Caribbean, and that ended up falling through, unfortunately, which would have been cool, man. That would have been a fucking blast. That would have been a blast, not getting cankles from the boat. But yeah, so check that out. What else do we got to check out? Listen to Richie Kotzen and look up singer-songwriter out of Minnesota, Charlie Roth. And
good stuff, man. And hey, if the opportunity ever arises, I would love to go on your show and debate some classic albums. And I am not going to be one of these people who buys you a jersey to get on the show. No offense. So if I never get invited on, whatever. But hopefully at some point I can come on, because I would love to do it. And I've thought of some in my head. I know I sent you one, and then they're not the same number of tracks though. But I was even thinking a good one, if you could switch, that would be Vince Neil's Exposed album versus the Motley Crue '94 album. They're both great albums. But I think there's one more track on one of them.
We would have to do it. The way to get by that is if you match up, because the ones where we do have a 3-way dance, because there's a point system. So if there's like one of those records that doesn't, so if, like the last one we did was Lick It Up versus Asylum versus Animalize from Kiss. But one of those,
I'm definitely going Lick It Up.
Asylum's the best fucking.
I love Lick It Up, and I'm a big Vinnie Vincent
album they've ever did, but Animalize is like right up its ass second. I think
Lick It Up all the way, man. Vinnie Vincent's songwriting, brilliant.
But one of those, I think it's Animalize, has one less song, so there's a point system, so that can make up for not having the exact number of songs. But if it has to be at least within one, Yeah,
it's one. Yeah. So if it comes up, I'm offering the invitation. I would love to come on for that one. But either way, this has been great, man.
I appreciate it. Man. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And listen to Eddie Trunk. Eddie's a god. Eddie is a fucking god. Listen to Eddie Trunk.
That one was definitely a very fun show. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, a little bit outside of the realm of what we usually do here. Have no fear if you're wondering. We are going to have actually a few special ops guys on for next month. I have some awesome guests booked. But yeah, that's really it. Check out Izzy's podcast, which is, of course, Metal Edge Presents, another effing podcast, at Real Izzy Presley on everything. And before I go, you've heard me tease out that my friends in Electrocutioner have put out a song, or we're working on a song called The Switch Is On. And being that it's Monday, it is out today. So you could go give them a follow. On Instagram really is best. And I think they're putting it up on YouTube. So it's at Electrocutioner, ELECTROCUTIONER_NY, at Electrocutioner_NY. Very thrashy band. And yeah, The Switch Is On was inspired by this podcast and Chris's story. So if you're a fan of old school thrash metal, you will most likely enjoy it. As always, follow the show. Follow me at Ian Scotto, and email us. We haven't done a guest-free show in a while. We will definitely throw in a guest-free show next month of just Chris and myself. And if you have any questions, email us, battlelinepodcast@gmail.com. Have a great week, everyone. Stay positive, stay motivated, and I am out.
That's all for this episode of the Battleline Podcast, but we'll be back on Monday with more American straight talk. Until then, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. To sign up for future Battleline tactical courses, go to www.christantoperanto.net. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.